Hello class, this is your video update that ends Unit 2, talks about Exam 1, and introduces Unit 3. Unit 2 has been going great. You guys did an amazing job of increasing the participation rates in the discussion boards. Increasing your participation rates will continue to be our goal moving forward because you learn more that way, and the interactions with your classmates is a great way to increase your satisfaction with an online class. You all did a great job on Project 2. If you're still confused about the inner workings of the balance sheet and the cash flow statement, then you should continue to study up on these concepts. Remember that a cash flow statement looks back in time at cash flows and is mostly made up of income and payments. The balance sheet is a snapshot of here and now and contains what you own and what you owe. Look for keywords like balance. Don't be confused when you see 3 entries for one item. For example, a mortgage will have an asset value on your balance sheet as well as a long-term liability spot. You will also make payments that flow in your cash flow statement where you try to decrease your liability to 0. When that happens, then you completely own your house. Other minor mistakes that were made were not characterizing the tax refund as income. The money has to flow in from somewhere. We always want to think of credit cards as short-term debt, no matter the balance. This is so you don't get into the habit of carrying credit card debt over time. Also, when you forget to pay a bill, there is no cash flow. Instead, the balance becomes a liability, something you owe, and jumps to the liabilities section of the balance sheet. As far as the write-up goes for Project 2, the main thing that you all should have noticed was that the family does a very poor job of tracking their cash flows. A budget would help with this. Tracking this money could cut down on expenses. The savings could be allotted to a savings account. The next thing you should mention is that the family does not have an adequate emergency fund. They are leaving themselves very exposed to risk here should something unforeseen happen. Remember, your emergency fund is there to protect you, your family, and your assets. You always want to build your emergency fund before investing, otherwise you may have to pay penalties and fees later. Do not get confused between the savings ratio and the investment assets to income ratio. The savings ratio only measures savings in the last year. This is used to compare savings from year to year. You want to strive to make sure this ratio increases each year. The investment assets to income ratio is used to measure overall savings. This ratio factors in the value of your investment accounts, not just the amounts invested over the past year. Lastly, I want to remind you all to give me more of a write-up if the rubric shows you that the question is worth over 1 point. You can check the rubrics here. I did not count off this time, but next time I will not be so lenient because you know that you're supposed to give me more information whenever you see multiple points. Also, don't forget about early grading. Several students improved their grades using what they learned from early grading on the project. Your average on Quiz 2 was a 75%, but this is skewed by several zeros. Try not to miss out on too many quizzes as they are there to give you an idea of how much you learned in the unit. If you do not do well on a quiz, then it lets you know that you need to go back and study more. The general areas you missed dealt with credit card balances and mortgage payments. Remember that a balance goes on the balance sheet and a payment is a cash flow. Stamp collections and jewelry are almost always personal property, except in extreme situations that go beyond the scope of this class. You are all also confused about how to increase net worth. Remember, you must have an asset class move up or a liability move down without another flow for your net income to change. If you buy an asset using cash, an asset you already have, then you do not increase your net worth. The same goes for credit. Lastly, you should all review the differences between the past cash flow statement, the present or 1 point in time, which is now, which is the balance sheet, and the future, the budget. Please make sure you brush up on all the previously mentioned topics before taking your exam today. The class videos are a great place to start. Exam 1 is already open and runs until 11:59 tonight, Monday night. The exam will show up in the exam folder under course content as it becomes available. The exam is 50 questions and consists only of multiple choice or true-false. Do not forget the exam's time, so you want to find a nice quiet spot with a good internet connection to take the exam. All of the study documents for Exam 1 are found in the online classroom. Now I want to welcome you all to Unit 3, Credit. Subject of credit has a bad reputation, but this unit will show you that there are both negative and positive things associated with using credit. Sure, it's easy to get into crippling debt if you abuse credit, but how else are you going to afford a car, a house, or even an education? This unit walks you through the good and the bad aspects of credit. By the end of this unit, I hope that you will be more informed of how credit can work for you and what you can do to avoid the potential pitfalls associated with credit. We will start with credit basics, move to credit reports and credit scores, and end with credit cards. Keep up the good work, everyone. I'll see you all on the discussion boards.